go straight into Bitcoin. Have a look at Bitcoin. So on Friday I did a stream and I said Bitcoin was basically around here, and I said if you remember, if you are following my streams, I think some people are, and so I'll just go back to my Bitcoin video, swing failure or bearish breakdown. That was the video. And if you remember, range low being this, I was talking about the possibility of it being a swing failure of the range low. I was talking about the range low and potentially going back up. And okay, this is just the one idea of many. Yeah, there's like so many ideas of what could happen, but effectively we're in a bit of a decisive moment on Friday. I was still eyeing a lower long, okay, more of a swing along situation, but I kind of drew this out. It didn't go up straight, it kind of went back down and then went up, didn't it? So it was kind of trying to do what I wanted, and it's come to the place where I thought it would, which was the point of control, the local range point of control. And now this is the next thing. What happens next? Now the thing is, now that I'm looking at it, obviously I have to reevaluate. So even though on Friday I was looking at this and maybe it would reject and fall right back down and it was a failure, now I'm looking at it, I have to reevaluate, because actually it doesn't look like a failure, does it? It looks like actually it's trying to get back into the range. And that's really important, because once you reevaluate, then you have an opportunity to update your idea. Yeah, so just because I have this idea doesn't mean I'm going to stick to it now just because I had the idea on Friday, because actually now you have a little bit more data to see what could happen next. So I'm going to delete all these brush strokes now. I'm just going to kind of update that. The range low was good, so I'll keep that. You can see it was clearly good. That was a good idea. And this channel that we're in could still be good, so I'll keep that. These trend lines could still be good. So I'll keep them. So we have a few lines to contemplate, and then let me have a look at the order flow. So the order flow is really important. Let's see what the order flow is like right now. Very important, because I want to see what's going on, and actually what's going on is quite bearish. Okay, so we got a bit of bearish order flow right now. We have increasing delta, CVD delta, and we have decreasing highs on the price. You see that? So the price is dropping, but the delta is going up. What that means is that the price is being absorbed. So you've got larger limit shorts opening in the opening and absorbing the market buying. Yeah. So the only way for the price to move up is with market orders, or to drop is with market orders. And when you get a situation like this, it means the market orders are being absorbed by large limit orders. Okay, so that's bearish. That's bearish order flow, because basically what's happening is that large positions are closing at limit. They're limiting out. They're closing or they're opening short. Yeah, you can't tell which ones they are. Probably closing. Probably you've got some longs closing here, but they're limiting out. The reason why they limit out is because it's cheaper. Yeah, much cheaper. It's cheaper to limit than to place market orders, and so naturally big positions will try to scale out with limit orders rather than just suddenly market out of the market. Okay, and move the price. And so we're getting some bearish CVD across this local range since 7 a.m. the 7 a.m. pivot high there, 640. That's actually really quite bearish right now. And also after it dropped, we're getting some bearish CVD. That was from 7:40 a.m. This is quite bearish. Okay, so it's you have to bear this in mind. You can't ignore it. We're above the daily open, but we're below the VWAP. So as long as we're below the VWAP, as long as we're not flipping the VWAP into support, this is actually starting to become really quite bearish. Okay, so I just want to give context on the order flow. It's looking quite bearish. Things can always change. If the price takes out these highs, yeah, then you can get it goes back to bullish. Yeah, so it's all about how the price, what the price can get to in the period of time that we're contemplating, but at the moment it's looking quite bearish. All right, just bear that in mind. And here you can see a large long opened, and the price, like, it was just absorbed like crazy. Look at that crazy absorption. It didn't move. That was a large long open interest, up 13 million. Look, positive dominant order size plus 12 million dollars, yeah, and it was just absorbed. The price didn't flinch. So basically someone had a limit order for the same amount, and the market order was just blipped, didn't even move. Okay, so that's pretty, you can see that's really quite bearish, right? So that's just context on UFO. And look at where we are. We're at the local point of control of this local range. What I'm going to do is just kind of draw the volume. Okay, update my volume levels, the value area. Okay, just to see if there's any changes. And you can see that what's happened actually here is we've come up to a very important place, which is the point of control, and we're finding resistance off the 786. You see that? And we're sitting above the golden pocket. So at the moment the golden pocket is holding a support, but the point of control and the 786 is holding as resistance, and we're getting some bearish CVD order flow right now. Okay, let me just refresh that because my trading view often bugs out, and I have to go back to my Bitcoin chart. So that's a bit annoying, but it happens, so I just have to deal with it. Not a problem. So that's kind of where we are. Okay, it's like literally impossible to long here, literally, just because of where we are. We're underneath the point of control, and we've already moved a little bit, and we're getting some bearish CVD, but it is definitely possible to short here. It's a tricky one because you can just short now and you have your invalidation above the high, but the price can always take out that high and drop. It can always go bam, can always do that. Yeah, so it's not really a safe invalidation, especially when you see we're putting in higher highs here, is it? And so actually the next great short here would be a swing, another swing failure of the highs, effectively. That's kind of like, you have to go for it. That's going to be the next great short. You wait for the swing failure and then you can short. That would be the next great short. It would be another swing failure of the highs. If you get that, and you might not get that. Otherwise, the problem is, where do you put your invalidation? And obviously the only place to put it would be the next pivot high. There's quite a wide invalidation, and you'd be looking for a breakdown to make that risk worthwhile, all the way down to the range low again. Yeah, to make that kind of trade worthwhile. It's too wide. It's too wide a stop to justify that kind of trade. So ideally you need a trigger point, an entry point. A swing failure is always a good one. Okay, and then the local context here, maybe it's such a short range, but maybe a local golden pocket could work too, if the price kind of struggles and heads back down, and then that would be a lower high, whereas that one would be a swing failure. When you do a lower high, you're always risking to be stopped out on a swing failure, so you almost have to take two stabs at it, and you could fail both. Okay, and so that's just something to bear in mind. But effectively, if it could always go there and then take it out and then drop, and so you get stopped out, but you still have to re-enter because you have a second trade in mind. Or you could go half position now with a much wider stop, and then if you get a swing failure, you can add to that, and you have a wider stop, so it's less risk to reward, but at least if you get a swing failure, you don't get stopped out, and at least you're half position in now or coming up to this area for an entry. So it's like taking a half position there to add a swing failure. If you get stopped out, then you don't lose double position or double trade. And then if it goes down, usually what will happen is it'll come back up and you could add, or you can just not. So there's ways of achieving the same result if you're feeling bearish, okay? And typically what I would say is that because of the order flow looking to be bearish, I'd probably be thinking of this to come back down. I'm probably thinking for this to come back down. It might not happen just yet, but it could happen later on tonight. So there's a few things on my mind. I'm feeling a little bit bearish right now. I'm feeling bearish. Let me just, these are kind of local time frame price action. Now the question is, let me just get rid of them. I'm not going to bother keep them. It's not a big deal. The next question is then what next? Well, look, I think it's very possible for the price to just come back down and find support back off the value area low. Yeah. Off this kind of, considering these points, that was like a little failed auction and just come right back down here. It's very possible. And assuming that this is the pivot, that would be a 50% retrace to this kind of level. I think that's probably, I'd like to see that happen. And to kind of just find support back of the local value area. I think if you start losing, if there's a more aggressive drop, then actually it's going to start to look more bearish, and then you're probably going to go for the lows again. You're probably going to go for these lows again, okay? And so I think we're in a, this is again, we're coming, this could be a short opportunity here, and effectively potentially for a long here, and we're kind of tightening up. We're kind of tightening up, and then maybe we're looking for a breakout to the upside. That's really what I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking right now, it's, I don't know, I just think it's more likely now that we go down just to come back up and just kind of get a tightening range here for a break up, even though it looks like it could go down. Just because we're back in the range, and so I do value that quite highly. I value for us to hold, we held the range low here, which I marked on Friday, and we're back in the value area. So I consider that as a sign of strength. I consider this move to be a sign, even though we're trying to put in a lower high here, I still consider that a sign of strength, as long as we can kind of hold this region here, yeah, and find support off this trend line that we lost, okay? And if that happens, then I'll be more inclined for up. Again, if we lose it and we go much lower, if we're into resistance, and then we're probably going down to the long much lower, and I've already got that marked out, and I've already got an alert for that long. And once if it starts to break down, it will start to break down, and then we can really go for that. But at the moment, I'm actually feeling to myself, maybe we kind of mess around here for a little bit, and then we just have to see what happens here, okay? Feeling bearish right now, but I feel probably it's going to find a little bit of support a little bit lower down. We'll have to see what happens. And that's kind of where I'm at with Bitcoin right now. I'm not going to go into more depth because I think that was enough. Let me have a look at the candles, because I'd like to check out the weekly candle. So the candle hasn't closed yet, and that's really important. What's the volume on the candle? Should probably hide all that stuff now that I don't need it. Last week was quite a nice bullish red candle. I think it's bullish because there's quite high volume and didn't go anywhere. This week we've taken the week low and we're back up, and we've taken the week liquidity. Yeah, we don't know how this candle's going to close. It's a tricky one. I feel like I'd like to see it close green above the previous week 50%, and that I've got that in my mind right now. I'm just looking at it now, and this is, I would consider that quite a bullish close if we get that. Just looking at it right now, we have to see how this closes. I'm going to mark it out for us right now. There. We're close, but we're not there. We have to close above 118,204 for what I would consider a bullish close on this weekly candle. Like, it has to close above the previous week body, above 50%. Okay. Anything less than that is going to look really poor. It's going to look quite weak, because you've got a green candle, so it's a bullish week, and when you need a strong close, you can't have a weak close on a bullish week. Yeah, you need a stronger close. If you get a weak close on a bullish week, it means basically the buying is being prevented effectively. And so I've got the 50% mark for a close. That's really important at the moment. Really important number, 118,204 for a weekly close. Let's have a look at the CME. Is there a gap? Yeah, that gap's being filled. Oh, look, the gap was filled. Look at that. That filled on Friday, so we don't have to worry about the gap. That's why we had a bounce. And we closed at 118,295 on Friday. 118,295. So we probably won't have a gap. Probably. And maybe the gap is going to be slightly above us if we close low. We have to see how this closes today. I'd like to see how this closes on the weekly time frame. If it's above 118,204, I'll be bullish. If it's lower, I'll probably be slightly bearish to at least to begin with. So we need to have a strong weekly close here. Then we have a brand new weekly level. We have the weekly level above us. The liquidity is taken, so we'll have a really good, nice possibility to go up, back up into the highs of this range. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm thinking about that. We also have a monthly close, so by the end of the month it could get quite choppy before the month closes, and it's a really crazy bullish month, isn't it? Look at that monthly candle. Oh my god, it's like a strong close above the previous month high, previous all-time high. Look at that, really strong close. If that closes like that, that's really, really, really nice. Increasing monthly prices, increasing volume. That's really bullish at the highs, at the all-time highs. This is really bullish. At the moment, we're experiencing really bullish price action on a higher time frame right now, and it's reflecting, isn't it? It's reflecting into ETH BTC, isn't it? It's reflecting in a lot of other tokens. ETH, look, ETH is like right back above that level that it lost. Bam. So, you know, we're in a really good place for a mega rally on altcoins, to be honest with you. We're in a really good place. Look at Sui. Sui's finding strength. There's a lot of things going on which are good, which are looking good. So yeah, I'm kind of feeling quite bullish, but let's just see how this order flow plays out. Let me just have a look at it one more time, just to see. If we take the highs in price, that will change the situation. Look, we're trying to get back over the VWAP. Bearish order flow, but look, for some reason the price keeps on going up. This is bearish, huh? But if you take out that pivot high, then everything changes. So we have to see how that plays out. Okay, so possibly we go down to the value area low for a test, and then if the price can hold there, then I would consider this to be Yeah, let me just bring it back up again. Kind of range bound. There, that's the area. That's kind of what we want to see. If it can hold support there or if it loses support there. That's kind of my area of interest for a long there. The local value area low. That's kind of what I'm thinking. If it can go down there, hold, put some volume in and then break up, that will be a really good place for long. So if we can see it, if we can see it find support there, if you break down, and then again it's going to start looking bearish very quickly, right? So it's just food for thought, but that's kind of where we're at now, right? So that's Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin. It's 11:21. Look at Bitcoin. I don't think there's any questions. Let's have a look at BTC dominance while I'm here looking at stuff. Yeah, that weekly, yeah, that weekly time frame candle, that's looking quite bearish, isn't it? It's looking pretty bearish. Bitcoin dominance is still looking bearish. We've kind of hit this yellow trend line that I have. We haven't had a great bounce. Bitcoin is still at all-time highs in price discovery. I am wondering if we have another week breakdown, next week we break down into this golden pocket area for a push on altcoins. That's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if we do break down here next week. That's what I'm thinking right now. Let me have a look at USD dominance. So look, last week we closed underneath the point of control. This week we can't get back above the point of control. This is looking extremely weak. USDT dominance is looking really weak here. So probably going for the lows here. That's actually a bullish harmonic, to be honest with you. So even though it could go for the lows, you just have to bear in mind that you have a little bit of a bullish type harmonic forming here, possibly. I don't know where this would end, but do an extension. Yeah, somewhere there. That would be kind of like where you were looking for USDT to bounce, somewhere around there. If we have a breakdown, don't know how it would happen, to be honest with you. I think you lose the point of control, you're heading down to the value area low. So there's lots of kind of, that's, for me, that would be a logical next place. That 50 fib level would be the logical place for USDT dominance to find a little bit of support if we lose the point of control. But as ever, these things could really overshoot, and then you could end up, this would be the right place there, the golden pocket and the point of control. But the point of control is now moved. Huh? You can see that. So is the value area low. So, and the price is underneath the point of control. So I think the next, logically, if you have a breakdown, the target would be the value area low. But then you have this 50 fib. The fibs are playing a role on the higher time frame, and with this kind of extension here, you're looking at somewhere like there, probably somewhere around there for the first kind of big resistance. If you get a breakdown here, and timing wise, you're looking for that to kind of play out towards the end of December, really, if you look at the way the price has moved. So I'll keep that there just to have it there, and so we may not get a push further down. We have to see how that plays out. Have a look. SPX is fucking going up. this is what we need, you know, for a crazy alt season. We need the RTX to break up and break up from all-time highs. And maybe we'll get that. You know, you could get a situation where the SPX keeps on going and then comes back for a V-shaped recovery, back test at the breakout neckline, and then like I drew the second one, and then we could get that kind of situation. Okay, so that's everything, I think. Let me have a look at ETH/BTC. Well, I still think ETH/BTC needs to go down into the golden pocket. I still think that. I haven't changed my opinion. I think the ETH/BTC will probably range here and then go down before we get the pump up. Let's see how this plays out, because at the moment we're in the area where I said, and look where we are. We're still there. Yeah. So clearly that was the right area. We are trying to flip the golden pocket into support here, that on the other side. So obviously my ideas are ideas. Everything could change. I'm just, these yellow lines are based on the past, and so if it doesn't replicate the past, then we're looking at a new future. And so right now I'm just looking at the past and replicating the past. Whatever happens, I feel like there is going to be a pullback to a golden pocket on ETH/BTC in the future, which will indicate a crazy alt season. And so I still have that in my mind.